So picture yourself sitting at your favorite fast food joint with your burger, fries, and Coke all sat in front of you. The warm buns are in your hands. You can smell the juicy meat. You can't wait to take a bite. But before you do, let's take a look at what that beef is made out of and where it came from. I recently read an excerpt from Fast Food Nation, which shocked me. It opened me up to the true world of fast food. I don't know about you guys, but for the longest time ever, I remember thinking about what chicken McNuggets were really made out of. Was it even real chicken? So today I'd like to share with you what I learned about the fast food industry, where the products come from, and what goes into our food. First, I'd like to bring to attention the horrors of the meat that comes from the fast food industry. According to Lewis Smith from Agriculture Research Service, the fact that livestock on factory farms or farms generally used for businesses who eat a lot of meat all the time, debeak chickens and cut off the tails of cows and pigs because they say it's more efficient and safe for them. But the real reason why they debeak it and cut off the tails is because the animals are kept in such small quarters that they have barely enough room to move around, and it agitates them so they almost attack one another. And also another reason is that when they start to grind up the meat or whatever, they don't want any extra extremities getting into the final product. There was a study that showed that not only is the debeaking and cutting off the tails utterly painful to the animals, but this also causes them to be depressed in a way. And so they say that the more depressed or unhappy the animals are, the lower quality meat is produced when they're slaughtered. The animals who live on these farms get little to no exercise and live in pools of their own manure, says Eric Schultzer, author of Fast Food Nation. If we are told not to eat dirty food and dirty water, why do we give the food that we eat later dirty food and dirty water? The factory farms feedlots call this recirculating manure, and they call it efficient mechanism. But the problem with this efficient mechanism is that E. coli can live in their trough and manure for up to 90 days. Now, what else do they eat? The current FDA regulation allows dead pigs, dead horses, and dead poultry to be fed to the cattle. This diet leads to what we all know as mad cow disease. Stephen Jergel, a former editor of Meat and Poultry, states that cattle are only designed to eat grass and maybe grains, but not other animals. That's why they have 4 stomachs to process the high cellulose with the grass. What's even more gross is that in 1994, Preventative Medicine notes that in Arkansas, 3 million pounds of chicken manure were fed to cattle. Not only do the food that cattle and other animals on these farms eat are harmful, being kind of poisoned with all the disease and bacteria such as salmonella, tapeworms, and other ones that are major factors in food poisoning. But even when they're slaughtered, there's still the chance of being contaminated because there's a machine that rips off the hide of the animals, and if it doesn't do it properly, chunks of dirt and hair can fall into the meat in the end. And also, they have to take out the intestines carefully, and if a person kind of screws that up, then the insides of their digestive tract can spill everywhere. And so, what are chicken McNuggets? Sorry. These are just slides of some animals in factory farms. You can see that there's not a lot of room for them to move around in. But I'm sure some of you have seen this picture. It's been floating around the internet. This doesn't look anything like chicken. It's actually a whole chicken that was put in a grinder. That's why it's pink, because of the blood and everything. And so they have to bleach it white so it looks like the white meat right off the chicken bone. And since there's probably a bunch of bacteria on it, they have to soak it in ammonia, and then after all that's done, they have to flavor it like chicken. So I guess back in the day, that's why this happened. This happened way back when someone found an actual chicken head in their chicken McNuggets. So after all that, we know about the chicken McNuggets, but what about our burgers and fries? They even found that beef was still injected with ammonia to kill the E. coli and salmonella in that, which is still regulated. And if you read it on the label, it's labeled as a kind of like an artificial ingredient, not one that's to kill off some crazy bacteria that's there. There are some stories online about McDonald's like cheeseburgers not showing any signs of decay, like on bionicburger.com. They have they did a study where a guy kept cheeseburgers for about 20 years and they're still they look exactly the same. Even Morgan Spurlock of Super Size Me did an experiment where he kept cheeseburgers, fries, and other burgers from McDonald's in glass jars, and the fries never showed any signs of molding, no fuzz or discoloration. And this is a new cheeseburger, and this one is said to be 12 years old, and they look almost the same. So why do these not show any signs of decay? It's because Evan Gastaldo of Newsweek.com says that 50% of there's a 50% fat content in the burgers and the fries. So there's little moisture for any mold to grow on, and even the oils that the fries are baked in have a 93% beef tallow, which is fat that can also be used for candles and soaps. So here are the facts. The cattle that are used for tasty burgers are kept in terrible living conditions, and there's still contamination problems with their food and when they're slaughtered at the slaughterhouses. There are tons of chemicals like ammonia and bleach being pumped into our foods, and so in the end, it's your choice of what you put into your body. Thank you.
I'm just going to say, I don't know. Fingernail. In them, and then she chisel like the knuckles, and then she started
All right, so visualization at the beginning is good. The goal is very clearly set up. I think your preview needs to be a little more complete. On the visual materials, your feet are not always planted. Sometimes you're swinging your legs around a little bit. Your gestures are limited because you have those pages in your hand. I know that you've got them folded over, but it does look a little awkward, and I think you need to free yourself of that a little bit. Facial expressions and eye contact are pretty good. Your eye contact is occasionally inconsistent because you keep looking down at the page. The visual materials, think about maybe having somebody turn off the light so you could sharpen up some of the images there because a couple of things were difficult to see. The notes, I think, were a little bit larger than you want. You want to use cards so that you can hold them in one hand, not have to use both hands, and maybe make the cards a little bit smaller. Your voice projects pretty well, except right at the end in the exit, you just kind of drop off. Your voice drops off quite a bit. And then there weren't any obvious signs of anxiety except a little bit of nervous laughter every once in a while when you're making a transition from one point to the next. All right, thank you.